Dun, dun, dun.
I was actually hoping you died, but you know what? Fine, I'll take the music.
Well, sorry. Yeah, like you missed. Like you just went wide right, and like the bullet flew that way.
I was aiming dead center. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye, and we're back at you with. Last time we talked about No Time to Die, but this time we are doing spoilers.
All the spy secrets are just out.
Yes, we all have secrets, don't we? And we're going to talk about them right now.
Good. I like it.
I was thinking about that today. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, which I really hope you guys do, this is definitely one of the few movies this year. I know I've said a lot about you should go see it in theaters, but this one you definitely should not miss, especially in IMAX or even Dolby, in all honesty. So check out the movie, come on back, and dive into the spoilers with us. But what do you say, Bern? Shall we get into it?
Let's cut into the meat of this thing.
And how do we want to do this? Do you want to do negatives? Do you have a lot of things that you want to maybe vent about, or should we just do the positives first?
Yeah, I mean, I barely have any negatives, so I think we should go ahead and just get those out of the way. You know?
Okay. Then take it from here, Bern. What's one thing? If you guys also remember, our ratings for this movie were both 4 out of 5. So while it was a damn good movie, it wasn't quite perfect. Because it's always hard to get perfection. There's only maybe a handful of movies I consider perfect. So, anyways, Bern, take it away.
Yeah. So I mean, I made mention that the villains didn't really quite work for me in this movie, and you know, we'll go ahead and break down why now that I can talk about it, you know, in full spoiler fashion. So, you know, Rami Malek's character Safin is introduced as essentially a Spectre killer. You know, like his motivations are Mr. White, Madeline's father, you know, who we've seen throughout these Craig Bond movies, at least up until Spectre. You know, he was the one who massacred or ordered the massacre of his whole family, and then essentially a Spectre took over his whole island, right? So I understood the motivation there of him, you know, rewriting this Heracles nanotechnology to kill all the Spectre agents in the Cuba scene, which I thought was great. That was really well done. And then effectively, you know, getting Blofeld killed when Bond and him had that confrontation, which I thought was a great scene, and I do want to get to that later on. But after that, it just kind of felt like, you know, he succeeded in what he initially wanted to do, and it wasn't really clear as to why he wanted to essentially eradicate the entire, well, not the entire human race, but a good portion of the human race. So I mean, you got to see this twice, and you said that it is a little bit more clear the second time around. So what I'm surmising is that you know, Moneypenny makes mention that there had been they had been breaking into different databases, you know, around you know, MI6 and stuff. I think so what I was thinking was his motivations were okay, I'm going to take down Spectre, and then I'm going to go ahead and extend that to all other shadow organizations and, you know, take those guys out too. But then again, once we get to the end of the movie and he starts making this grand speech about how the world craves oblivion or whatever, just kind of oh, I thought you would kind of just wanted to just take down you know, similar agencies that led to your family being killed. So those are motivations I understood. It just, when he starts going off on this God complex thing, I was oh, this is kind of a step too far. I don't really see the, you know, the progression in that character there. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, watching it again, I felt to more empathize the character. We probably should have done this before. I was just thinking about it. But a quick overview of the plot is James Bond is brought into he's kind of tied into this world again because, you know, he feels that Madeline, you know, Lea Seydoux' character, betrayed him to not only Spectre, but then we find out the Rami Malek's villain, Lucifer Safin, is another big bad, and he's hijacked a biological weapon. And rewatching it again, because I'm not gonna lie, I was nodding off the first time around the whole backstory of him. But rewatching it again, I understood why he wanted to do it, because his family was poisoned off, and he was poisoned too. But that's why his face is so.
He's all scarred up. Yeah.
He's all scarred up. He looks sickly because he just survived it amazingly, and So I understood why he took the biological weapon part. I thought that was actually quite poetic. And his name Lucifer, like a fallen angel, because I mean, we don't know what his family did before, but I mean, they had that poison garden on that island and stuff, but they just got killed off out of nowhere. So I kind of understood that a little bit better, and I thought knowing that, it made his persona a little bit better for me, because yeah, like how we were talking about last time, I thought he was kind of a whatever villain. He looked weird, sounded weird, but this one, it was actually a lot more creepy. And once you kind of knew why he was doing it, it was a matter like him and that little exchange between him and Bond on the island, when he's saying, now you're gonna get rid of everybody's chance. It is as simple as he just wants to take out whoever he wants and everybody to feel what he felt, losing your entire family in front of you to something you can't help. So I actually like that aspect a little bit more, especially because this movie had a lot to do with family. Madeline's family, James Bond's new family, and his family. It's literally just almost like three sides of a little piece. Like there's like the good, like what happens when one person's raised bad becomes good. One person had a bad upbringing but became a good person, like Bond and Madeline. And then we just see one guy who had a horrible upbringing and just a horrible life. So it was almost like one truth versus, there was just like three different truths, kind of like this one samurai movie, Kurosawa's film. I forgot what it's called, but so I liked his motivation a little bit better. I don't think that will. I mean, you're more than welcome to still feel how you feel, because I totally get you. But for me, I liked Rami Malek's character better after the second viewing.
Right. And maybe I'll feel that same way, the second time around. But like I said, it's not anything to do with the performance either. His performance was really, really damn good. Every time he was on screen, I was very much sucked into the scene just because of his look, his scarred face, and then his huge eyes, which Rami Malek is known for. But it seemed like in a lot of his scenes, like, he made a conscious effort not to blink at all, and that just kind of drew me into the character. So again, on a performance standpoint, I was locked in with him right there. It's just, again, when it comes to just going from the very immediate motivations to this whole bigger grand scheme type of thing is where it kind of loses me a little bit. But like you said, I totally understand where he's coming from, and I like that you made that distinction of them all being foils of each other. And I think he does work well as a foil to Bond here, as someone else whose life has essentially been upended by Spectre, and just seeing how someone else would go about it other than we've seen Bond doing it for the last couple of movies. It's interesting to get a different side to that coin, and like you said, I really appreciate that aspect of it, and the whole theme around family. I thought it was really well done, so I'm there with you on that.
Exactly. And my only really negging of this whole movie is just going to be that there wasn't enough of these characters, and in a great way too. Because rewatching it again, I realized I wanted more Lashana Lynch's 007. I wanted to see more what she could do and how she operated in the field, and I wanted to see more of Rami Malek and his, maybe planning, maybe a couple more scenes of just him maybe doing something action stuff, or I don't know. I was watching, man, there's not enough. This is great already, but there could have been a little bit more. So that's
in
my
a 2 hour and 46-minute movie. It flies by. For me personally.
Yeah, this time around too, since I was actually awake for most of it, and given I did have to go to the bathroom a couple times, but it was stuff I was I already know what happens. I'm okay. It felt a lot better paced. It didn't feel as slow to me. There's still a couple moments I'm we could speed up a little bit, but not in a way of oh my god, this is so boring. Why is
where you're not
done?
engaged with the scene, and you're just I'd rather just move on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that aspect. More specifically for Malik's character, it is kind of one of those things where I didn't realize until thinking back on it, where him and Bond don't have a scene together until that scene at the end of the movie at his base. When they have that conversation. So it's one of those things where you're oh man, the central villain of this movie and our main hero have never interacted up until this point. So that's kind of one of those oh man, I really wish they could have done a little bit more to have them at least have a back and forth before this the essentially third act. So I do agree with you on that. And when it comes to the secondary characters in Bond's team, I thought that for me personally, I thought that they were used about as much as they should have been. You know, like being Craig's last Bond movie, you don't want to like take too much screen time away from him. But the fact that these characters endeared to us immediately, like Paloma, Ana de Armas' character, and the new 007, Nomi, played by Lashana Lynch. The fact that we won more, like you said, that's a good thing. And like I said, I thought they used Nomi really well as to not like overshadow Bond, but provide, like you said, a nice complementary aspect of this being a new agent and like kind of the world moving past Bond at this point. And I think they did a really good job of that, while also paying respect to Craig on his last outing. I thought they balanced that really well.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but shall we get into the positives?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, for sure. So the opening sequence, again, this had actually, I think, one of the stronger intros.
I think it's my favorite.
I think one of the strongest ones, since I think this one and Skyfall had the best intros to the movie, where it just jumps you right in. Like Casino Royale still may be my favorite, but that intro is a lot slower because it's just more dialogue and just quiet. This one was just, we get to see Lea Seydoux, where she came from when her dad was in his prime during Spectre. And one thing I will say now is that the scenery, especially within the intro, is fantastic.
Gorgeous, so gorgeous.
You open up on her childhood home in the middle of the forest during winter, which it looked pretty scary, but also really pretty because it's covered in snow. Like, it's like, man, this place will look great in spring, which we do see later in the movie, and it also looks fantastic. And after we see, Rami Malek, Safran's character. No, just Safin. Safin is the character. What am I talking about? But after, when we see them, and he kills her mom, goes after her on the lake. It jumps straight into her as an adult, where they're vacationing in Italy. So right after Spectre in 2015. And again, they're just driving through. It was just beautiful, especially when they're looking over that city, and you see a bunch of fires because they're all burning like wishes and personal stuff. I thought that was really cool. And again, we get jumped right into action too, where he goes to Vesper Lynd's grave because Madeline was really telling him, hey, for us to move on, like to move forward with our relationship, you need to kind of address the loss you've had. Like, even though he wants to say he has, and we've seen him kind of get over it, but now that he's actually with somebody, she's like, no, we got to get this over with. Like, let's just go say goodbye, make your amends, and then come on back.
And I really love that aspect of this movie. Like, when I made mention that this felt like a greatest hits in our non-spoiler review, I really like that they tied a lot of things back to Casino Royale, and especially his relationship with Vesper Lynd, which I felt has been like one of those ghosts, hanging like on this particular version of Bond. I love that they really found a way to interweave that into this like final outing for him, where he can have he attempts to have like a little bit of closure before essentially moving on. And I feel like they've done a good job in the last few James Bond movies, showing just how effective that relationship and how that relationship ended with Vesper, how that carried through and made his character who it was in the last few movies. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I give props to Cary Fukunaga for really having. That's one of his better, subplots, or like the symbolism is that, this is the first Bond that's actually tried to settle down multiple times. Where in the other movies, even though he does fall in love with somebody, it's more lust than anything. It's never like something long term. But Vesper and Madeline are the first two female women in the Bond movies, I feel like, that have actually had a lasting impact on him. Both end up kind of not betraying him, but they both hurt him in some way. Like, Vesper definitely sold him out for the money and other stuff. Like, was trying to save her husband, which he ended up being a dick. And then, Lea Seydoux was just part of Spectre because of her dad.
Yeah.
So it's I really like what he did with that. He really finished Bond, like you said, his greatest hits, where we got to see all of his journey encompassed in this movie. And when he goes to the grave, it blows up right in front of him. It was like, oh shit, her corpse is probably gone now, or if it was actually truly her grave. And just a great action scene when he's fighting Cyclops, like the guy with the little bionic eye, who was a really cool like Russian villain. And he's riding through the city in the bike, gets Madeline, and the Aston Martin. That was So, I'm gonna say it now. The cool factor with this movie was high. It was the coolest
Yes.
Bond movie I think throughout the whole series, with the cars, like his Aston Martin, his other Aston Martin in London, the black one, and then we see Lashana Lynch's Aston Martin, like brand new. Like everybody looked fantastic. The costume department and just whoever does the costuming and like that stuff better get nominated because everybody.
Now that you weaved into that, I'll go ahead and address that right now too. Like the technical aspects of this movie are second to none. I think from across the board, like you said, the use of gadgetry in this movie, like all the cars, this particular scene, the Italy scene that we're talking about right now. This is my favorite car scene in all the Craig movies. Like just the way like he's weaving through the small like roads, and then at the end when he does that donut, that the sound.
Oh, with the minigun, yeah,
The
that was
sound design of
fantastic.
when he's just sitting there like processing like his rage, and the Cyclops is like gunning at the window, just the sound of the boom boom boom. It's just like I was like, this is great. Like, what is going on here? This is amazing. Like, nothing's really happening, but I'm so invested in the tension of this scene. And yeah, like you said, the costumes across the board, everybody looked so great, especially in the Cuba sequence when they're all like, done up, and Lashana Lynch is in her tactical gear, and then their looks at the again, like across the board, like the costuming for all the Craig movies have been great, but man, they look so good here. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way like right now, because like I'm right there with you, all across the board. Technical aspects were so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of extend that a little bit more as we go on, but like I said, that intro, like with her flashback and then the Italy scene, especially with that donut where she's begging him like, let's go, or please say something, and he's just like, all right, let's go, and just turns on the like. I will say this about this Bond. I think this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite Bond, not only because I've actually seen all of his movies growing up, but this was a more grounded and tactical Bond where he doesn't have ridiculous gadgets. They're all pretty, I could see that being very real. So that's what I really liked about it. Even the car, like it was so simple. He just had a simple thing for mines, a smoke thing out of the exhaust,
the cow traps that he
headlights.
dropped, like blew up all the cars when they were coming by. That was dope too.
And again, it was just so simple, but sometimes simple is more. And this defined that. And yeah, I mean, that was just it sucked me in like right away. I was like, oh, okay, this movie's gonna be great. Like, cause I went into this movie trying not to look at reviews or anything like that. So I was like, let me judge this on the intro, and it was just 5-star.
And this scene in particular is one that we've seen like throughout basically the last year, because like this was one of those scenes that they really like showed off in marketing, where we got to see like him make that incredible jump with the bike, and then the spinning sequences we've seen that. So and then like him jumping off the bridge, and like with the line, and like catching himself before fall. So we've seen all that before. So I was like, okay, I probably won't be impressed by it by the time the movie comes around. I was like, nope.
Exactly. I was gonna say the same thing. I'm like, oh
wrong.
man, when you were pointing out, they kind of did spoil it, but it's like you don't think about it when you watch it, because it's like, holy shit.
Again, you're just pulled into it. Like again, Cary Fukunaga and his cinematographer, who I can't quite remember his name, but I know he's worked with Damien Chazelle in his movies. Like La La Land and Whiplash and stuff. So their work together was just great. Like you said, like I said, it draws you in, and you're just like in the action sequence, and it's filmed so well. Not like Quantum, where it's like super handheld and you can't see anything, and not quite like Skyfall and Spectre, where it's a little bit more just still and reserved, which I don't mind. I prefer that to the latter. But here it's like you get like a mix of both. Like it's a little bit more like handheld and personal, but you can see everything that's going on, and that's like my favorite in particular.
Absolutely. But keep moving on, Bern. What else do you want to talk about than the good stuff?
Besides this sequence, which I really enjoyed, and then going into the opening credits, did you like the opening credits song? The Billie Eilish's "No Time to Die," and the whole intro sequence, that whole title sequence, I guess.
I mean, I'm gonna give full disclosure. I have a huge crush on Billie Eilish, so that's me. But and I've heard a couple of her songs. In all honesty, I don't follow music much. I'm a bit of an uncultured swine when it comes to that. This is the first Bond song I actually thought about getting, especially watching it again. I was like, holy shit, this song is good. Like, captures the tone for everything, and her voice is just serene, just beautiful. Beautiful voice, everything about it. The intro was great. Really kind of spelled out what the movie, broken hearts, like really all this like tension and stuff. Basically, this is literally all about death and love in one movie. So I loved her song.
Yeah, and the whole lead into that, where like after he puts her in the train, and then we start hearing the theme come in, and we get those little dots, the little intro dots of like the.
I thought that was really cool. Nice little touch.
Homage to like the old Bond, the Sean Connery Bond movies. I really like that. But I don't know if you noticed. I noticed it, and I didn't think it would come into play, but it ended up doing when he puts her in the train. Like she grabs her stomach, and like it was a nice little like foreshadowing of them having a child together. I didn't know if you picked that up when you saw it the first or the second time.
I did not, but now that I'm thinking about it, like I kind of do remember her doing something like that. It was just more of like I think they really sold the love aspect, like Lea Seydoux and Daniel Craig, that he wants to love her. He still does love her, but he sends her away because not only is he worried about something happening to her, he just also doesn't trust, is like, am I too into, like, did I let my guard down and this is why it happened, kind of thing. But it was like, no, she did love you, because if she really felt guilty or betrayed you, she wouldn't have ran looking for him, like when she was on the train, like tried to keep her eyes on him. She would have just like sat down or just cried or something. So I was like, you know what? That's another good evidence of like she did love him. That was like true love for Bond this time around, where it wasn't anything backstabbing for her. So that was what my mind was thinking when he did it. And he's just, when he turns around, he's like, I can't look at you just because I don't want to regret this, but he ended up doing it. So
and as like thinking back on it too, it's like I really liked the entire sequence. Like she's like, I need to tell you something. There's something I need to tell you. Like she's always like trying to like explain herself, which we think is like like her confessing to like a betrayal or something. But I think it ends up later on being revealed that no, this is in fact like she was pregnant. So yeah, that whole aspect of it I really enjoyed, and the song too. When it initially released. Like last year, I wasn't like too thrilled with it, but seeing it now within the context of the movie and with the openings, the titles and stuff, it worked really well. So I did really enjoy that, for sure.
I didn't even know it came out this year, so there we go. That's how much I don't follow.
But yeah, I guess after this, I would really want to jump to the Cuba sequence. I don't know about you. That's my.
Let's do it. Yeah, that was so. What I love this time around, real quick, before we talk about the action and stuff, is that he did such a good job directing Ana de Armas. Not only is she a talented actor, but she played the whole... Because this movie really does a great job of subversion with the characters, specifically Nomi, Lashana Lynch's character, and hers, because you think these are two women, one's trying to be overconfident, may not be that good at her job just because... I'm sure people would have been like, she's just filling in the spot. And then Ana de Armas with that whole babe in the woods thing of like, I'm so nervous. Like,
only 3 weeks of training.
Like, this is only 3 weeks of training. This is my biggest assignment. It's like, holy shit, she's gonna fuck up hard. Like, she's almost borderline a comedic act. But then when shit hits the fan, when and I have to say it, she looks fantastic. Oh yeah, too. Just
again, going back to the styles, everyone looks so great, and her
dress was sexy, and then seeing her do what she did in that dress, I was like, an award right there. Give her an Academy Award.
I could never do that. I could never do that.
No, like, and real, I mean, I know we're jumping around, but I'm watching it again. I was like, I like this movie so much better. Borderline 5 out of 5.
Yeah, like I said, it's on the cusp for me too.
Like her little fight scene by herself when she runs out of ammo and takes on these 3 guys, it almost looks like she's dancing. And I thought that was a really cool effect with like the stunts in this. That not only did this movie have some of the best gunplay, like gun fu action I've seen, especially out of all the Bond movies, it was stuff like that. I was like, wow, this looks. Ana de Armas. I think if I just saw her scene alone, I would have been like, yeah, I'm getting this movie. I will buy this. I don't give a shit. Even if the movie sucks, I'll still like it.
The Steelbook is on Best Buy right now. If you want to go ahead and
is it really? Oh man, this may be the Bond movie to do it for.
But yeah, you know what? I think this sequence, this Cuba sequence, is for me hands down the most fun action sequence in all of Craig's Bond movies. just
Oh yeah.
the again like the interplay between him and de Armas, working off each other, him being like the experienced one and like not really too sure about her, and her like again like you said, like pretend, I don't know if she like truly was like as an experience as she let on. Maybe it was like a way to like kind of let him not expect to like to, or kind of like a way for her to like surprise him when like her action. But that was great, the whole them the whole Spectre scene when everyone starts dropping dead. We get that twist there where it's like, oh, we think Bond's gonna die, but they like turn that on his head and everyone in Spectre dies. And then
Yeah.
just them competing, him and Lashana Lynch competing to see who can get the doctor first. They keep taking him from each other. That was great. So again, this whole sequence is so much fun, and like you said, so well directed in the action. I really enjoyed this one so much.
Yeah, like Lashana Lynch was just such a tactical
Mm-hmm.
character. Like, I mean, again, it's like Bond. Like Bond's tactical too. Don't get me wrong, but her was just like how she's keeping an eye on the doctor, like jumping on the floor, crawling with him, like still shooting, just because she's like, I gotta keep an eye on the package, but I also gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, it was just like stuff I wouldn't expect from a Bond movie. Especially even with Daniel Craig's like more modern Bond, I still don't expect that sometimes. So I love that whoever the stunt coordinator was, the stunt teams for this, you guys did phenomenal job, because especially the Cuba scene, some of the best action I've ever seen, and the Armas was so fun with it, fun to watch. And then at the end of it, he's just like, "You are excellent," and she's like, "Thank you, so are you." Like,
I like that moment
like,
when they have
she-
like they share a drink together before like getting back to the fight. That was great. I like that so much.
that was awesome. Oh man, but what else shall we talk about, my friend? That was just such a fun scene, and oh my god. I mean, let's just segue into Nomi
Yeah.
and Bond.
Yeah,
shall we?
definitely.
So as we were talking about, like you point out perfectly how they're kind of just trying to snag each other's targets and stuff, because we find out that, kind of reflecting on like the last presidency and stuff, America is not really playing well with others in the whole spy game and stuff, especially when Felix Leiter, played by,
Jeffrey Wright.
God, what's his name again?
The Watch.
Jeffrey Wright. I was gonna say Jamie Wright. I'm like, that's not right. But Jeffrey Wright, yes, he's such a versatile
Yes.
actor. Like, goddamn, he's almost like Gary Oldman.
Like,
but not
definitely,
quite there yet.
honestly, what a casting choice. Like, he got casted back in 2006, like as Felix, in Casino Royale, and he's only just gotten like more and more great like as the time goes on. So like seeing him again here, I was like, like I missed you. I missed you so much.
Uh-huh. But we find out that they're not playing well together. So Lashana Lynch, and I was talking about subversion again. Like, we think she's just gonna be maybe not the best Bond, or we don't know what to expect with her. But she's so competitive with him. Like, oh, I'm 007. Like, you thought they would retire. Like, she's so high on herself, and I love that with her character. Like, her complexity. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with Bond. Like, she doesn't want to be compared to him. But she is proud of that 007 call sign. Like, she's like, I'm 007 now, not you. Like, you're done. I'm what's here. Like, the whole thing of like that battle of youth almost, where James Bond's retired but he still got it, and she's in it right now, and she's more than capable of handling herself. So I like their little dynamic, and I like that they get friendlier as it goes on. When they, especially at the end when they're about to go to Poison Island, or the Poison Garden, and she's like, I want him to be reinstated as 007. Looks at him, is like, it really is just a number, but it's your number. Like, I respect that. So I thought that was a really good moment, and then that's why I kind of want to wish we had more of her, just because I wanted to see her more in action and what else she could do with him. But it was still great. Like, all the scenes that they had together, especially working together or working against each other, like in Cuba, it was fantastic.
Yeah, like the friendly rivalry that buds into like an actual like respect for each other. I thought that relationship was handled really well, and like you said, it subverts the expectations almost, where you're like you think they're gonna be one way, where they're very combative, and like you said, that she's like a hotshot who we really don't know about it. And, naturally for someone else to come in and be a 007 in particular, we're kind of like, there's a little bit of a wanting to push back on that. But I mean, she definitely shows that she's capable of the title. And it's like one of those things where, you can see that she's actually earned it. And and now that Bond seems to be back in the game, she's kind of like apprehensive, like, whoa, 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 I worked hard for this. You were retired, and you're gonna come back. You're not taking this moniker back. It's mine now. So trying to make that legacy her own. I thought that was a really like nice aspect of that. And then, like you said, it was great in that moment where it's definitely like a moment for the audience, of her giving back the 007 title, this being, his last movie, and especially with what happens at the very end. But yeah, they just did a really good job of showing how she's like, what, like, I respect this person, this is possibly someone who she looked up to. And it again, like, after like working with him in the field, it's like, that she thought of like, this is going to be like your last mission to save your family. This is yours. We're going to go out and do this together. Like, this is awesome. So I thought that was great.
And going back to the style of her too, like, not only did her tactical look fantastic, especially on the island, when she was driving the Aston Martin after his whole little ruse in the woods with Liz Doe, her daughter Mathilde, and Safin just takes them. She pulls up in the Aston Martin with those cool glasses.
Those dope glasses.
Damn, this like I was just like, can you look any better?
Why do you have to have so much cool style?
It was kind of like that scene in Booksmart where they're just like, wait, I'm so blind, you look amazing. It's like, no, who gave you permission to look this good? I'm like thinking that. Dude, that's what I was thinking this time around. I was like, God damn, you look awesome. Like, fuck.
It's like, I'm going to go buy some tack gear right now, but I will not nearly pull it off as cool as she did.
No, not even close. I'd have to get back into shape for that. But either way, I just had to shout that part out before we finished up with their rivalry. But I think, again, like you said, she earned that title, and we've seen her be capable. It was like I said, it was a difference of ages. He was more reckless in his youth when he was active 007, but she's more by the book, more professional. And even though she follows the rules a little bit more in procedure, she's still very cutthroat on her job, like we saw in Cuba. So I love that about her, that there's so many layers to her and what she can do. Again, Cary Fukunaga and the writers, you guys did that brilliant.
Yeah, and then that little moment where she's talking to M, and it's like, permission to capture or kill, and it's like, yes, like, your predecessor wasn't as formal or whatever, like, didn't follow protocol. So it's like, oh, that's a nice little nod to how like different the two are. And then her just being like, he's 00 what, like, when he gets reinstated as a double, like,
yeah.
00 what?
00 what? Like, she's like, what is the goddamn number? I need this. I kind of wanted it too this time around. Just like, yeah, what the fuck number was he? Like, was he 006, 008, 00? I don't know. Like, 000? Give me an answer. But anyways, though, but keep going, Burn. What else? What other aspect did you like about this movie?
I mean, I really enjoyed how the whole thing wrapped up, in the third act. My gripes with, the villain and his like little god complex aside, I thought once they get to the Poison Island, like, I was like very into the action that was going on here, and the story of like him trying to go save like his wife and kid, like his wife, but like the love of his life and his kid. And I thought, the whole scenery of this, this, like you said, the Poison Garden, where it seems like Safin has just kind of reclaimed this thing where they're like putting like artwork up. I thought it was like really well designed, and then just, again, him and Nomi just tearing through this place was so cool. I really enjoyed like all of it.
Yeah, that was, again, fantastic scenery all around, especially just when they're moving through the shadows. That scene from the trailer where she's like, God is 6, and then turns around the shadows, like, oh, gives me chills, because I'm like, damn, they're so cool looking, and they're moving so quietly. But I think one of the biggest things with that island scene was just, as they're going through, just that whole exchange with oh my God, Safin's character, that was really just chilling this time around, especially when he's really talking about, I know, like, this is the first time Bond is actually really emphasized with the villain, and he said, I had everything lost for me too, but we shouldn't want that for everybody else. Like, with this virus, you will put everybody in that situation, and you kind of see just any emotion from Malek just gone, because he's like, I don't give a shit. Like, everyone can feel what I'm feeling because that's what I want. It's like, oh man, that's a little harsh, but again, they just had such a cool he's just played the villain so well in this. I just wanted more of him in that, and yeah, it was just such a crazy ending, especially just the fact that this is the first time Bond is actually killed on screen.
Yeah.
Like, we have never seen that. He's always survived, and this is the first time, not only did he die because he knew he couldn't be with his family ever again because of that stupid Project Heracles, but it's just like I'm already, because he was also shot up too, so he's like, I'm not gonna make it. Like, I'm already gonna die. So
Like,
and that was the best way to also just finish off Daniel Craig. Like, he's definitely done his Bond.
yeah, like the whole build to that I thought was really well done. From him wanting to basically missile strike this place, and he has to open the blast doors. So him making his, like, it's almost like an ascension, like a metaphorical ascension into heaven, where like he's going up the staircase in that awesome one take fight scene where he's just tearing his way upwards, up the stairs, and just mowing fools down. And then like opening the doors, and then having that final confrontation with Safin, inside that little pool, where he basically makes the decision there, where after he's been poisoned and he can no longer be not just around Madeline and the child, but basically anyone, because of the nature of the Heracles itself, where eventually it's going to make its way to them if he gets off this island alive. So I thought they set that up. Like, I was like, oh man, there's no way that, like, they're gonna find a way to, like all Bond movies do, to at the very end, like, get out of it by the skin of his teeth. And it's just like, I know people have, like, said that they were like crying at the end. I was a little bit more of just like in denial, where once he's making his climb up, and he's talking to Madeline on the phone, and she's telling him about, like, the kid, the kid is yours and stuff, and he's like watching the missiles come. I'm like, he's gonna make it, he's gonna be fine. They're not actually gonna do it until you actually see, like, the missiles hit and, like, him be engulfed in the flames. I was like, oh, he's not making it this time. So up until the very moment, even when, like, he's looking up at the missiles coming at him, like, he's gonna make it.
Even after the credits rolled, you're just like, he's still alive. I already know he's alive. It's like, he's still there. It's like, I'm like, did you and I not watch the same movie? Just, what do you mean?
But yeah, like you said, it was such a really, like, awesome build. That, like, this final act of heroism for this Bond, I thought it was really well done, and I really liked it. I know a lot of it seems like a very contentious point within especially the Bond fan community, of them actually, like, killing him off, but I think for this particular run of Bond in these, like, 5-movie arc, it worked perfectly for me.
Yeah, and I'm gonna segue into the next point, if you don't mind, Bern, but this is not only the first death and all this stuff, but this is the first time Bond actually had a family. Mm-hmm. He actually had a child, and I thought that was a really different thing about him, because, again, yeah, he's made love to many women throughout the movies and stuff, and then throughout all those things, he was basically just a glorified whore, if we want to look at it that way. Not really. Not really, but like, yeah, he is a very, like, he's very, the gentleman spy. He saves the day, gets the woman, and all that stuff. But this time it was like, no, he wanted to settle down. He wanted to be with his family, and I really liked, and I just really liked that aspect about it. Especially Lea Seydoux, she played just her character so well. And then I don't know who the child actor was for Mathilde, but she was so adorable. I was just like, damn it, this child is adorable. If that really was their child, I'm like, that's good.
Yeah, but when they commented on like is she mine? Like, she has my eyes, and she was like, no, that's not yours. I was like, no, that's definitely his baby. Like, no one has those beautiful baby blues like Daniel Craig does,
As some people would call them, piercing, like a Siberian husky, because that's how blue they were. And then just but then, yeah, it's like, oh, thank God it was his child. But I love that little joke where she's like, I'm going to show you something.
Another child?
like, who else are you? Who else have you been with? It's like, oh, man, don't be like that. But that was funny. And I like that, what they did with Bond this time around. That they definitely grounded him more, where he's like, he wouldn't want to keep doing that for the rest of his life. He wanted to have a family.
Yeah, it felt like the most like the right end for him. He would like say he did make it out, and he does live with his family. Like this particular Bond, like it seems like he wouldn't be able to keep himself from not like wanting to intervene whenever like world ending events pop up. So him making the ultimate sacrifice here to save the things that he never thought he'd have, a family and the love of his life. It's like you said, like his relationship with women up until this point in the series. What I liked how they recontextualized it with Craig's Bond, whereas and before the movies before, it seemed like that was just kind of like a character trait, like he just gets with women and that's just part of his thing. Here it's more of a character flaw, and they acknowledge it from the beginning. So him actually like settling down is like a meaningful thing because of again the Vesper situation where that hurt him so deeply, opening up only to be like stabbed in the heart essentially. It's like you can see why he would keep people at arm's length. So having this more human portrayal of Bond and him going out the way he did, having found love and knowing that he has legacy with his daughter. Again, I think it was just like a beautiful period to put on this Craig Bond series.
Bond 6. Child of Bond. Bond legacy.
Oh.
Oh man, but as we wrap it up, what else do you want to what do you want to finish off with, my brother?
Just again, the technical aspects across the board were great. No, I didn't mention Hans Zimmer, but his score throughout this movie was really good. It did a good job of interweaving Billie Eilish's "No Time to Die" throughout as like a central theme of the movie, and then like the way he uses the themes from the Bond movies in the past to really like to push the story forward. His composing style is one that I think really like lends itself well to blockbuster movies because it's always like propelling the action forward. And that's just like a nerd thing about me. I really like film scores, so just his work here I thought it was really well done, and I was like, Hans Zimmer, you delivered again. And again, just Cary Fukunaga and the cinematographer and the writing team, I think they did a good job of crafting this final hurrah for Daniel Craig, and again on all those technical aspects, I think they absolutely succeeded. So that's all I got to say about those guys. Job well done.
And shout out again to the stunt team, the costume department. You guys all did a fantastic job. Again, everybody looked so eye-catching. The scenery was beautiful. That's like for the cinematography, and then just the action. This is, I think, the best action I've seen from any of the Bond movies. Like to keep me this invested in really seeing the characters at work. So I can't praise it enough. But it's almost like a silverback gorilla in a form-fitting leather jacket. Just it's high price. Oh man, but I got nothing else, Vernon. What about you?
It's just man, what a run! The next person has like large shoes to fill. So I'm happy that we got these movies, and yeah, Craig's my favorite Bond now. I think that's cemented for me, and like I said, the next ones they better be good because I don't know how they can top these.
Yeah, these are some of the best Bond movies. So yeah, whoever takes on the next moniker of 007 will definitely have a really high bar to climb over. So we'll have to see what happens. Speaking of big shoes to fill, again, I'm so excited because Halloween Kills comes out this week. So we're going to be talking about that soon. But first, we will talk about the 2018 sequel to the original Halloween film in the next episode. So until then, stay bodacious, keep on renting, and above all, stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and remember, have it shaken, not stirred.
Goddamn right. This is Rant. This is Rye. Ranting Rye signing off.
Adios.